the weaker cog in that wheel. I want to put this question to Shiv Vishwanathan, because what we are seeing emerge, sir, in these numbers is a belt across central India from Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, Jharkhand, Uttar Pradesh and Bihar, where the Congress is virtually being decimated. They're almost out of the equation. We're seeing almost a 1977 rerun happening.
No, I would say something more has happened. It's not the negative part of the Congress being decimated. It's the consolidation that the BJP has been able to effect. Take Madhya Pradesh, the magic of the two pluses, Chauhan plus Modi adds up to something significant. I think the same thing is happening in Rajasthan. So I don't want to emphasize the decimation of the Congress, which is almost seen as a kind of background logic, but the fact that in these states, BJP is consolidating brilliantly.
The BJP, Kiran Bedi, is consolidating to the extent that it can. But the counter isn't, we don't know yet, or our viewers don't know yet the numbers for the rest of the state. But this is also, frankly, the BJP heartland. So while you're increasing your seat share, it's not very hugely. The Congress is obviously on its way out. But the BJP's numbers are going up. You're already doing well. You're doing slightly better than you were.
That would be natural, because they have their own chief minister who would probably be continuing to do better. And therefore people will again, as I said in the last one, will like to again hitch themselves to the center and do a double celebration. They have their own party chief minister and they have their own party as a prime minister, and the states benefit twice over.
Okay, leaders like Sachin Pilot, Ved Sanghvi, CP Joshi, all in trouble. So essentially, Congress leaders in this entire belt are really up against the odds.
Yeah, I don't know, Rahul. I'm speaking to some Congress leaders in Rajasthan after the elections, and many of them said to me that we went out and we sensed that things were not going well, but we had no idea it was going to be a rout of this nature. There is a sense when you talk to congressmen that they really don't know what the voter is thinking any longer. They have lost touch with the mood of the nation, and with each shock they are battered even further.
And the one thing that we've seen in the past, Sunil Alagh, is when people decide that they want someone out and somebody else in, whatever projection there is, that projection is often exceeded, because people then push. Just that extra vote comes in which pushes you over the hump. That happened in Bihar in favor of Nitish, it happened in Uttar Pradesh in favor of Akhilesh, it happened in West Bengal in favor of Mamata Banerjee. You get a surge which carries you over beyond what you expect.
You know, as far as I'm concerned, I'm just noticing a few trends, and it may not be correct, but it's good for the group to discuss, because see, in UP, Akhilesh and Mulayam have been appealing to the Muslims very, very strongly. Now, when any state like Bihar or UP starts appealing to one particular community or one particular caste or one particular area, you tend to consolidate the other side saying, oh, they're not for us. Can we get together? So what's happening is that indirectly, and I'm not meaning this as a racist remark or anything, they're asking the other communities like Hindus, look, you better get your act together, because this particular leader is only going for us. So you get that vote in, and then the rest of the group, the so-called majority which was divided between the Congress and the BJP and all the other parties, now seem to be saying, okay, here's one party which we want to be for, and then that kind of consolidation is what is going to work. And the other thing which is very clear is that whatever you've shown so far is that AAP is overestimating itself. So you've got AAP which is going into an overestimation. You've got the others which are going into another area, and the important thing which is coming through are three things. Everybody is worried about inflation, everybody is worried about unemployment, and everybody is worried about corruption. Now they're not really looking at whoever they think is going to solve it for them is the one that they want to vote for, and they want to vote for stability in the center.
While you have reason to be happy, a more balanced view would be that this is essentially on predictable lines. The BJP was expected to do well in Madhya Pradesh, in Chhattisgarh, in Rajasthan. These are core BJP areas, and therefore there is no real reason yet for Modi or for the BJP to get very carried away.
No. The kind of work we have put in and the kind of majority we have got in these states, I think it's a cause for celebration, and that has not come without the cost of hard work. And because the hard work has been put in, we have changed. We have not only won with certain margins, but we have actually decimated. I mean, just 1 or 2 seats more, there would be no leader of opposition in Rajasthan. It is that kind of conclusive win, which is a cause for celebration.
Okay.
And the reverberation of this particular win will go across the country.
Kamal Mitra Chinoy, the one other thing that this poll reflects is how overestimated the Aam Aadmi Party has been. I did an interview with Prashant Bhushan, which became infamous for other reasons, but in that interview he said, who knows, we could even get 300 seats. I mean, that was the sort of jubilation that the Aam Aadmi Party had worked up for itself. This reality is that the Aam Aadmi Party is nowhere in Madhya Pradesh, nowhere in Chhattisgarh, nowhere in Jharkhand, nowhere in UP, very little in UP, very little in Bihar, and nowhere in Rajasthan either.
Well, it's not surprising because we barely campaigned anywhere. But I think there is one factor that we have to take into account, two actually. One, that in the competition for leadership between Rahul Gandhi and Narendra Modi, Modi has clearly come on top.
Sure.
Secondly, the anti-Congress wave that we saw in the last election has in fact sharpened. It has not diminished despite all the
With
canvassing.
different sorts of waves, Radha Kumar, this seems to be a tsunami against the Congress. Whether it's a tsunami in favor of the BJP, we will only know much later as we put the whole national tally together. But this is clearly a tsunami against the Congress.
Well, let me make 2 or 3 separate points. One is that looking at your overall results, which I very quickly looked at, the picture is that where the state government belongs to one party, whether newly elected or from the past, they tend to also be doing rather well in the Lok Sabha elections. That seems to be across the board. We see in Karnataka, for example, the Congress doing well.
No, we don't want to go to Karnataka yet. We've got a whole show lined up for that. Don't give it away just yet.
But that's the point that you have
We'll
to bear in mind.
We'll have to hold your horses. You will get an opportunity to make those points.
You have to bear that in mind.
We're just dealing with the Hindi
heartland. The second point on the Congress is that I, as a Democrat, generally prefer to vote against any government that has had 2 terms. It's my belief that parties have to keep each other on their toes. If you have a very long term set of terms for one party,
that's not true. Modi won in Gujarat. Sheila Dikshit, before she got decimated, won in Delhi.
Term, and I did not. Well, anyway, we won't go into what my votes were.
Naveen Patnaik won. Tarun Gogai won for the Congress. That's not true at all. Anti-incumbency can be turned into pro-incumbency if people believe the government has done good work. Kiran Bedi wants to make a quick point before I take a break.
The voter is looking for who is in command and in control and who is sure of himself. The voter wants to give now a vote to a person who is in command, in control and sure of himself. You see, all the states which have done it were showing that command, control and
in that sense, Raji Desai, Congress hasn't lived up to those expectations.
Well, it's a matter of how you look at it. If I look at this Jharkhand, it's the same distribution that was there years ago. So
but
actually, I could make the point that despite all the bravado and hoopla and all of this stuff, BJP has not made much of an impact. Everything's remained the same.
In Rajasthan, from 4 to 21, I mean, there's a level of optimism. Sure, Jharkhand is one state. Look at what's happening in Rajasthan. Look at what's happened in Bihar. Look at what's happened in Uttar Pradesh. Shiv Vishwanathan has a gem lined up.
No, not a gem. I'm just a bit worried about this generality about hard work and idealism. I see old vote bank politics in its most lethal way in the BJP. Come on, let's look at facts. Let's look at the dreariness of politics in terms of vote bank strategies and attitudes.
Okay.
Let's not turn the BJP into this idealistic, hard-working party consolidated at parent-teachers meetings.
Like Lalu is
this
doing
is
well
grim
because
politics.
he's the leader of the others.
Okay, we need to slip into a break. We've dealt with the Hindi heartland over the next 1 hour. When we come back, we'll dive towards the southern peninsula. We'll get you the numbers for Andhra Pradesh, then Tamil Nadu, Karnataka and Kerala. When we return with the India Today Mood of the Nation opinion poll.